Welcome back. You're live on Xpressive. It's our Techie Tuesdays. And this morning we evaluate the role of technology in the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. Unless you're living under a rock, you already know that Russia, Vladimir Putin, president of Russia, has invaded Ukraine. And Vladimir Zelensky himself is, they're having talks right now. At portions they do talk, at portions they don't. But the war is still going on. What is the role of technology and communication in this very war? Kofi Owusu is the CEO of Soko Aerial Robotics and has joined us this morning to share some perspectives. Good morning, Kofi. It's good to see you.
Good morning. Good to hear
you have a robotics company.
Yes.
So you obviously understand what will be going on in terms of airstrikes and yes, what machinery or what technology has been employed.
Yes, basically the air assets that is giving each party some kind of an advantage in terms of winning the battle on the field.
That's interesting. Let's begin from the basics. What is the role of technology in this war between Russia and Ukraine?
I mean, none of these countries can win this war without the most advanced technologies currently, especially when it comes to aerial assets, because you need to have some kind of eye in terms of what is happening on the field to have informed decisions, to make sure that your strikes and your strikes hit the right target, so that you don't lose so much. In as much as you're going to lose on your equipment, you don't also lose on your men. And these technology, especially with drones, when you look at it, it's providing you a certain advantage in terms of the battlefield awareness. And that is what the Russians learned when they went to Syria during the intervention. And in coming into this war, when you look at the data that is available the first 18 days, they did not come with that same concept of operation.
As compared to Syria?
As compared to Syria.
Things have changed much more.
Things have changed.
Tell me about this differences.
So in Syria, the enemy was using pro-consumer drones like the Phantom, struck homemade bombs on them, and they were using this to hit their bases. When you compare the cost of taking, let's say, a missile to hit that small flying thing, the cost ratio is too high. So they needed to counter this problem by finding a way to detect these drones before they hit their bases. By so doing, they need to have some kind of an aerial technology to also fly ahead of these rebels, also have a detection system to detect these aircraft whilst it's coming to their base and strike it mid-air with all kinds of technology. So after the 2014, when that thing happened, the Ministry of Defense had a plan that there has to be a new command and control approach in going to any war.
That's interesting. Give me a percentage of how much technology is contributing to this warfare in terms of equipment and in terms of airstrikes and all of that. Obviously, things have progressed from Syria, as you mentioned, and their Ministry of Defense has decided to do something more advanced. Is it safe to say that a huge, or let's say an 80% of this war is now riding on technology?
I would say 80% is riding on technology.
Oh, okay.
Because when you look at the Russian aerial assets, so currently they are classified into 3 categories in terms of classes. So we have the class 1, the class 2, and the class 3, and then the combat drones. So when you look at they have platforms like the Orient 10, which is a low altitude flying aircraft, can go as far as 6 kilometers upwards and 120 kilometers distance. And these drones were sending information to the ground team in terms of picking the location of assets and logistics. And once those locations are correct, they rain the artillery fire on those assets.
That's interesting.
So before they fire, they use the drones to identify these assets.
And then they strike.
They strike.
We saw a lot of the strikes on Ukraine, especially once they were approaching the capital, Kiev. You saw that a lot of high-rise buildings were targeted, and this is easier with technology, I believe.
Yes.
The drones can just set a target and they can blast off into them.
Yes, and the interesting thing is that the combat drones, which we call the CUAV, are already flying drones, like carrying bombs on them. compared to the surveillance drones, which does not carry any kind of bomb. And I think on the 9th March, there was another type of drone that hit some part of Kiev. It's called loiter munition. So it's a drone itself, but it's a suicidal drone. It can be in the air for a number of hours. Once it locates the target, the drone turns itself into a bomb and then hits the target. And these are drones that are using to penetrate the difficult areas in terms of trying to cause more harm and create path for them to
accessing where men cannot access. Really.
Yes.
Is this what this technology
This is what they are using, where they are using the loiter munition drones. And when you look at their fleets, they are all using fixed wings. But Ukraine has also been very smart to deploy very powerful high altitude drones. Which
Does
are
Ukraine
also
match Russia in terms of technology in this war?
So the interesting thing here is that both countries seems to have some kind of originality with the technology.
Oh, wow. So they don't share same technology at all?
Yes.
They have their own original
Yes.
technologies?
Yes. And then the Ukrainians are also using some drones from other manufacturers like Turkey. So the TB2 has been a formidable drone in this war, where the Ukrainians are using against Russia in terms of a counter drone.
Okay, just hold your thoughts there as we try to get your sound right. But in case you just joined us, we are speaking to Kofi Owusu, who is the CEO of Soko Aerial Robotics. This was meant to be a very surface conversation on technology during this war between Russia and Ukraine. But because he's a robotics expert, I'm really delving in here. It's really sounded interesting when you hear the technicalities of the kind of drones that are being used for the targeting and all of this. And he also makes mention of the fact that the two countries, both Russia and Ukraine, have some originalities when it comes to the technologies they're employing in this very war. That's very interesting because they share borders and they used to belong to the same country. You would think that they already shared technology. But this also gives light to the fact that Ukraine was getting some Western backing from the Americas of the world. And this is one of the reasons Russia wasn't very, very happy and so had to invade Ukraine. Well, you're live on Xpressive. We are live on GhOne TV. We are speaking to Kofi Owusu, the CEO of Soko Aerial Robotics, on the role of technology on the war in Ukraine. What you can see on the screens over there, Kofi was just explaining how drones will target a certain area. You can see there, very specific. You can see 6 meters to the target, and the bomb just flew. For those of you who haven't had anything to eat this morning, we're sorry, but we're just trying to give you some perspective on as to how these things work. You can see 15 meters there, like very specific targeting. And once it's targeted, boom. And this is how many countries, many militaries around the world now use these technologies to minimize the number of men who may get killed in warfare, basically. And if you look back, drones were also used by the CIA to kill Osama bin Laden under the Obama regime. So you could really see the technology being employed. Back in the day, used to be all men flying in aircrafts and killing themselves. But boom, you can see over there, the drone has done its job over there. that's a situation where men are not killed. I mean, soldiers that do not have to go to that particular place, but they can have an airstrike from afar. That's very interesting. Of course, war costs money, right? How expensive are these technologies that have been employed between Russia and Ukraine in this war?
When you look at, for example, the Ukrainian TB2, the cheapest you can get it for is around $70 million.
What?
Yes.
What's a TB2?
So the TB2 is the second generation of the Bayraktar drone, which is produced by Turkey.
The Bayraktar drone, it costs $70 million.
Yes.
Yeah, $70 million.
Yes. And
can you just donate one drone to our country, Ghana? We're struggling over here. Once we sell it, we'll do a reduction. We'll sell it for $50 million. We'll be fine.
And these drones are typical class 2, class 3 drones. Some can go as far as 150. when you look at the Global Hawk, when you look at the Predator, they are very expensive.
Wow.
Yeah.
$100 million for
Yes.
one drone.
Yeah.
And I believe hundreds of these drones have been employed in this war.
Yeah, I think when you look at the data that is present from 2008 to 2018, America alone has crashed not less than 140 of these drones within this class. And the cheapest is less than $1 million. When you look at the data from the Afghan war all the way to now.
They've crashed over 114 of them.
40.
40?
Yes.
The cheapest is about $1 million.
About $1 million. So you can imagine the cost implication of having such a system. And that is just on the operational side. You know, the maintenance hasn't come.
That's interesting. With regards to this pricing, are the drones getting more and more expensive as they're getting more sophisticated?
Yes, the technology is getting more and more miniaturized in terms of its smartness, onboard computer processing, and also the advancement in certain capabilities, especially with the AI, where the drone can actually give a centimeter level precision detection of certain infrastructure. And when you look at the Russian concept of operation, which is recce, strike, you know, you have to recce the area and then you strike.
Okay.
It's making the drones more and more precise and useful in terms of its operation. You remember when the Russians were trying to enter Kiev, they were struggling.
Yes, they did.
They were, because
the
Ukrainians engaged civil drone users to fly their drones to detect the locations of the Russian logistics. And the Ukrainians were organizing themselves in small groups and hitting these attacking this logistics movement. So it kind of slowed down their movement.
Some generals were killed in the process.
Yes, it kind of slowed down their movement, and in that process, the Ukrainians also kind of put together their self. And one of the technology that was used is the PD-1, PD-2. So the PD-1, PD-2 was also a drone that was crowdfunded by the Ukrainian people.
Really?
Yes, because when they got attacked in 2014 at the Crimea, they needed to have some kind of aerial technology.
So it was crowdfunding?
It was crowdfunding.
From the people of Ukraine?
So the name PD2 is a people's drone, PD.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. I never heard it too. Wow. PD2 means the people's drone too.
Yes.
So the people of Ukraine funded their own drones. Yes. Which are now helping them, which
has been in combat. I think this year will be in the 5th year. The drone has been in combat. And it comes to emphasize that as a people, as a country, we need to start looking at creating our own solution to help us fight whatever is ahead of us. I wouldn't mention the name of a product, but you realize that there is a heavy dependence of some commercial drones, which are not military drones, being used by the Ukrainians, which is not costing them. Because the Russians have a detection solution that they can detect where the pilot is flying the drone from, and then they can just rain some missiles.
If it's not militarized, they can find that out.
They can detect it, yes.
Oh, wow.
So you don't need to use the wrong tool under this environment. So the Ukrainians earlier on were smart to say, oh, everybody, if you have drones, fly and detect these positions for us. And now they are paying the price because the Russians have a device that can detect the position of the pilots. So, which is not good.
So clearly, I mean, private drone owners in Ukraine are willing to help and have helped thus far.
Yes.
However,
but now it's dangerous because the Russians can detect
and then blow you out.
And blow you up.
My God.
Yes.
That's really wow. That's interesting.
Yes, and it comes to a point that it really exposes the security vulnerabilities with some of these drones being used for military operations. So it's not the best. So as a country, we need to start looking at how can we make these solutions locally to help us stand in a external aggression.
Wow, that's really interesting. We'll come back to talk about this, but of course, technology is not all about drones and who is flying. We've heard some of the tech companies withdraw from Russia, but some still continue to operate in there. How helpful or damning will be these tech companies, Meta, Twitter, the rest of them, who are not folding out of the country but are still operating? Would they be helping Russia or would they be helping Ukraine?
I think the narrative being painted by the social media as well as the media outlet is a little bit intriguing.
Okay.
As for us as a company, as a research, we focused on what is fact. And the most important thing is that every corporate organization wants to save face and does not want to choose size.
Yeah.
So, but you could see where the external pressure is coming from. It's coming from a bigger power.
America.
And if your company's interest is not to be on the wrong side of your enemy, then you need to look at where you want to take your position. But companies like Nestle and others are still holding firm, saying that they're not going to go out of Russia. For them, their core business is business. They don't want to interfere in any.
It's about providing food to the people.
Yeah, providing any kind of. So it is more about your where you stand and the kind of pressure that you feel you don't want to take on, depending on who is on your side. But all in all, we should look at, and it's also a wake-up call that heavy dependent on these platforms. It's quite interesting that you don't even find a single African product that is also within the space, or a single Ghanaian product that is also within the space.
Oh, in terms of communicating.
In terms of communication, right? You realize that Russia was hitting certain specific assets that was of national security, like their communication infrastructure.
Yes.
And when they got those sites, they were able to black out communication.
In Ukraine, that is.
In Ukraine. And now they had to depend on external support from Elon Musk to provide them satellite links to get internet connectivity.
Just to figure things out.
Just to figure things out, you know? So it is very important that in as much as we are now living in a global world where we are dependent on some of these things, we
should create our own things.
Yes.
That's very interesting to say. It's interesting that you mentioned that there's no African product in the system that could inform Africans.
Yes. You remember
exactly
just, I think last year, I think WhatsApp was just off for some time and we're all panicking. But the alternatives were not there.
There are no alternatives, really.
You know, the alternatives were not there. These are companies that are global companies, but they hold allegiance to certain government.
Yes.
Which we can, it's just like sanctions are being happening. They can tell us that, oh, you don't need to be, we're not going to allow you to use this platform.
Yeah.
So the technology war, it's more about the geopolitics, but we as a people need to have a strong sense of understanding our problems and creating an enabling environment to drive this growth. And I think it will change the whole narrative.
These platforms, especially social media, what is their role generally in this war when it comes to the populace of both countries? Are they doing their job by informing the citizens of both countries, or do you think that there might be all these platforms might be pursuing a certain agenda when it comes to informing the people of those two countries?
The agenda setting is always there.
It's always there. Is that a normal thing to set an agenda?
It's normal. It's normal. But the most dangerous part is that today we have technologies like chatbots. These are like AI algorithms sitting on the platform, picking information as people are posting information, creating a certain narrative.
They can detect fake news?
Of course. Creating a certain narrative and then pushing a certain drive. You know, so these technologies are there, but sometimes the very used by we humans sometimes make them very unsafe. And let me give you a typical example.
Okay.
We've been struggling as a nation with transport for a long time. We're trying to cut down on fuel, cut down on commute costs. Every morning I drive to work. I have three seats. In my car, it's empty. I see a lot of people standing by the roadside who wants to commute along my route, right? But the existing traditional platforms like WhatsApp or whatever it is does not provide me some kind of a platform where I can connect with people and say, hey, I'm traveling.
You can take a ride with me.
You can take a ride with me. I move every morning between 7 and 7:30. I can drop you off. Would you mind sharing the fuel costs? You know? And in the beginning, it's difficult, but when you start pushing the idea, the culture start building up. And I can tell you, I know a lot of people who do this on a regular basis. And the kind of messages you hear is like things are, they don't feel the pain like they used to feel before.
Yeah, if you can share the cost.
Yes, but this is a problem that we have here. But you see clearly that these technologies don't kind of fit in terms of we trying to solve it.
That's interesting. In terms of carpooling, which you just rightly alluded to, that's a very interesting idea. As a developer, do you have any ideas in regards to carpooling?
Yes, we as a company have been researching into that for the past 2 years.
Okay.
We currently have a product like that the community is using, and it's purely free. It is between you and the driver. You just do the arrangement, but the platform just connects the two of you and kind of have a formal arrangement, you know, so that it doesn't be a little bit awkward when you're sitting and you don't know, Charlie, you have to give me the...
There'll be little problems. I think you need to find time for us to properly talk about this carpooling. But let's get back on track and back on the road. Is it possible that all the information we are receiving during this war from these platforms may be westernized and may have an agenda of the West and may be misinforming the general public?
I would say that we need to take a more deeper dive into information collection and then look at the data more critically. What the media is saying is different from what I see because of the interest in specific technology.
With what you see, yes.
Yes, because of the interest with specific technology that is being deployed, both forefront. When you look at the data day by day, there is some wins for Russia, there's some wins for Ukraine. Yeah. But until everything is done, I can't conclude and say that the narrative being painted by the media is wrong, because every day the tactics is changing. The information through the Telegram groups are also changing. And sometimes, and there's a whole lot of misinformation. People are taking old videos, trying to push it as if it is something happening currently.
That always happens, right?
Yes.
During the situations, people would put out these videos.
Yes. So I've built kind of different layers in terms of validating the information, you know, to make sure that before we add it to our data set, we are very clear that the incident happened. We can go to Google Map, verify what was there before the missile hit it and how the debris looks like or how the damage assessment looks like. Then we can say that, okay, the video is true. There was a strike here. Because Google Map can always give you maybe a month or two image of how the place was. And if there has been a strike...
And even the media can give you, can show you tapes. I mean, CNN can show you tapes of specific things that you would consume. But it would not necessarily paint the entire picture. Not to put you in a tight corner, but with your interest and what you have learned so far about this war, do you think Russia had a valid reason to invade Ukraine? It's not a yes or no answer. Just give me your perspective.
I will not give you a yes. I will not give you a no. But I think it is more about everybody's protecting their security interest.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's what's happening here.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, I would try and put myself
in the shoes of Russia.
And then I would say that, okay, Ukraine is protecting its security interest. Russia is also protecting
its
security interest. Yeah. But I don't want to go into the history.
But are deeply rooted issues when it comes to this invasion of Ukraine. Okay, things that many analysts believe have started years ago and have arrived in this moment, full circle now. So understanding this war, you would have to be critical in analyzing your information when it comes to social media platforms and also understanding the technologies that have been employed. On that technology note, you want to say something?
I think the difficulty in the data we are collecting is that it is very difficult to be neutral because you have a lot of information being thrown at you with a certain narrative. And if you're not very critical, you will lose focus in paying attention to the other side. Because one side is telling you that this is it, this person is winning, this person is winning. And the information you are getting is also saying something different. So it's the difficulty here that there's a lot of noise from this side. And you're struggling to concentrate to look at what is happening on the other side.
That's interesting. Who has the more advanced technology in this war?
If we look at it from originality, that is Russia. But if we look at it from the proxy, when I use proxy, there's a support being provided. Then,
A support system.
like there's the support that is being fueling the Ukrainian, then the Ukrainians may have more.
Which countries are clearly supporting
I
Ukraine today?
can't-
From the West.
Just use the West.
Let's use the word West.
Yes.
But Ukraine has Western support. So that's what you mean by through proxy,
Yes.
through NATO maybe.
Yes.
America.
But the Russians have a lot of technologies that are.
They created themselves.
Yes, that has a lot of
originality.
originality, and that is where I see where their strength is.
How long does it take to plan these technologies and even work them out and get them ready for an attack like this? Did it take
years.
It takes years.
It takes years.
So it's possible that this was been in the plans for a long time in terms of technology.
Yeah, it takes years. It takes years because when you look at this industry, it's heavily financially involving, and also research and development is heavily involving. And Russia has been going through a lot of sanctions for a long time. So when you look at the product sourcing tracker, there are certain companies that are not allowed to sell certain electronic components to Russia. So Russia may go through all kinds of routes to acquire those components to build their platforms, which may cost them more. So,
but I think they have arrived at something.
I mean, it's everybody has its hidden stones that they will want to throw at any point in time when things change. So,
Does Ghana have any hidden stones to throw in case anything happens? It's an important question.
Oh yes, we have.
We do.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you saw some on the fifth match and stuff like that.
No. I mean, because the ones on display on sixth match, that's fine. That's okay. No, we can see those ones. But can we defend ourselves in a time of war?
What I would say is that going around the African countries, we have one of the most professional military in terms of, from what I see.
Do we have the technology?
We do. We're getting there. We're going to get there.
That's,
because looking at the kind of leadership we have and the kind of motivation, we are in constant research. For example, my company is in partnership with the military, and then the military has been very supportive for the past 3 years for us to develop drones locally in Ghana. And we've scored a lot of successes, and we are still pushing. And this dream has been a big dream of the Brigadier General Matthew Asian. He's the Director of Special Operations.
Okay.
And he's really pushing us to get these drones into the service for the military to use. And that is where the originality comes from, So that is the dream.
You make mention in the beginning of this interview, you made mention of us creating something that's original to us that will be used in time of distress
like this,
or despair. Yes. Are we building that, or do we already have that? Or
we already have that, and we are improving upon it.
Yes. This country of Ghana.
Yes.
Oh wow.
So
that's very interesting.
We have Mercury 1, we have Mercury 2. Yes.
What's Mercury 1 though?
So that is the drone that is being developed by the Signal Regiment and the SokoAerial robots.
I hope this is not classified information.
Oh, it's out there.
Oh yeah? Okay, tell me more. The second one is called what?
So Mercury 1 was the first version,
okay.
And then Mercury 2 is an improved.
How powerful is Mercury 2?
So it's a low altitude flying drones.
Cannot fly too high?
It can. But when I use the word low altitude, it's like you fly it over the hill to see your enemy, kind of.
Oh, okay. So you fly it up to check your enemy down there.
Down there, and then you pick up the whatever information to help you make informed decisions in terms of your strike and your concept of operation.
That's interesting. So the Ghana military is capable.
100%.
Well, that's. I mean, for a citizen, that's very interesting to me to know that. Yeah, I am safe in case of any invasion or any attacks into our country.
As I said, they have the professionals.
They have the professionals.
And now they are building one of the strongest military drone squadron to take care of our security needs. Yes.
Here in Ghana.
Yes, because we don't talk about it publicly. So
it's good. It's good to learn. Well, what will be your word to people who are following the war using technology and what should they look out for, and how should they, also try to sift the information properly, the information they're getting?
I think, first of all, always look at the history in terms of what is originated from.
Okay.
And try as much as possible not to stick to one source of information gathering, and also be as 90% unbiased in terms of what you know, and don't get your emotions involved.
Yeah.
Just see the information as it is, and try to make it as simple as it can. Don't put the emotions.
You use your mind to it.
When you put the emotions involved, you see a different picture from
what's really
happening.
Well, Jackie joins us now for us to finish some celebrations. And wow, that's interesting talk about war, It's good to know.
Very good to know.
We are safe here in Ghana.
At
we are ready.
We are. Well, it's time to celebrate some wonderful people. We did the first batch earlier. I want to say a happy birthday to my friend. Well, that's what the message says. My friend Angela Fiafo of Country Kids International School, East Legon. May you fly high on the wings of success this year. And this is from Eugene J. Happy birthday, pretty Angela.
She's a teacher. That's a cute teacher. The kids will love you.
Happy birthday to Obahima Nana Ezra in Nkrumah II. May God bless your new age and keep you safe. Beautiful Nana Hima.
That's a beauty queen. That's a
happy birthday to Michelina Paulina Richard. You are so amazing, so higher in all you do. God bless you. And this is from Yasmin. Happy birthday, Pastor Solomon Obin, the most amazing husband, pastor, and a friend to all. I pray that from this birthday forth, God will bless you so much. May God increase your ministry and grant all your heart desires. I love you so much, my forever. And this is from your lovely wife, Mrs. Irene. And she didn't want the husband to take all the
Mrs.
shine.
was on there.
I have to be there. My gender.
And the ring shows clearly.
Yeah.
And she's cute.
Well, happy birthday to Francis Aban, radio host at Star FM. Of course, he's part of the EIB. More grace, big man. And I think he's
happy birthday to my programs manager, Francis Aban, with a double B though. Don't kill me. That wasn't me. Happy birthday to you, Francis.
Happy birthday to you.
Such a
enjoy your day.
Awesome guy, awesome leader.
Be great.
Everybody loves him. Yeah.
Happy birthday to DCOP retired Dr. Samuel Amumensa, consultant, obstetrics, gynecologist, and CEO for Sam J Specialist Hospital. And this is from Stephen Nkansa. Happy birthday to lawyer Senyo Badegbe.
Badegbe.
Happy birthday, lawyer Senyo Badegbe. Congratulations on your 4 decades of awesomeness. Happy birthday, big bro. From your dearest friend, Anita Ofori, CBG Bank, Owusu branch. Happy birthday to Mr. Victor Azemezu. You people, today is for me. Today, we ask God to bless you with every kind of joy on your birthday, and always we pray that your faith in God continues to grow as you grow older, and that you find comfort in God's love for you. Wishing you many blessings on your special day. Happy birthday.
Well, let me try let me try some Ghana names now, since you've tried some Ewe names.
As for Ghana names, very easy. Didn't you see Miss V's
Happy
post?
birthday to you, Danny Kote.
Very easy,
You're
breezy.
quiet, but you're hardworking and sacrificial in nature. May the good Lord bless you and separate you for greatness and only good things in life. Happy birthday to you, Danny Kote. Happy birthday to you, Elizabeth Ajwa Brefo, aka Ajwa Pretty, alias Chelsea Mama. I am buying you Chelsea as your birthday present as you turn another chapter in your life today. May this day bring you the lucky lady and abundance of good things life has to offer. Stop Shatter is going to buy you the whole team. Happy birthday to you, Madam Linda Ofori. You have been a great boss. We pray for the heavens doors to be open unto you. We will always, always love you. Happy birthday to you. Lastly, happy birthday to you, Victoria Mensah. As you turn a year old today, may the heavens open. Good health, long life, prosperity be your portion. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
It's from Nana Yao Ondame.
Well, if today's your birthday, we say happy birthday to you. We celebrate you. With you. There's a post on Instagram on Miss V's page. Maybe you should check it out on Air Weddings. She says, our first names very simple.
Simple.
When it comes to our surnames, you have to break a bank.
Badegbe means one day.
Badegbe means one day.
One day. Badegbe.
So you are called Daniel Badegbe. That means Daniel one day. You have one day to do everything. Hey!
It means that day will come. That day.
I see.
It's literally like trying to, demonstrate patience. Say, Badegbe.
One day you make it. One day something. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
Exactly.
One day.
That's great explanation today.
Right.
Badegbe.
Wow. Anyways.
Thanks to Kofi, aka for coming to the studio. That's really interesting stuff you told me today. Learned more about this war. How I follow this war is I listen to 10 minutes on the BBC. That's it. I don't want to follow
it's
too
a bit,
much.
Yeah, when you do, it's a bit too much.
But yeah, thanks to you for all the perspectives on technology, the drones being used, and also showing us that Ghana is safe. We have the technology to run with.
They have the men.
My man.
I've heard this before. Anyways, thank you guys for watching the show. We'll definitely be back, God willing, tomorrow, right here on GhOne TV. My name is Jackie.
My name is Bliss King. Thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful Tuesday.
We've heard it before.
We have the men.
We have the men. We have the men. We have the equipment. We've heard it before.
Xpressive was brought to you by
Nido feeds your child with essential nutrients to strengthen their immunity. This advert is FDA approved.